Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile's Breach League. We've arrived in the northern forests and we've been greeted by the virus. Hello, the virus. How are you today? We are on our way to the Vaal Oversoul. We're gonna face the Act boss of Act 2 today. Hopefully we will survive the encounter and the Vaal Oversoul will not, and we will make our way to Sarn. Hello there, Tail Singer. Or Tail Singer. Depends a bit on how you want to read this. So, going to face a boss. Our minions will be doing most of the work, so that means we can stand back at a safe distance. And all we have to really focus on is not getting hit by the laser beams. So in terms of doing the actual encounter, this is a lot safer than the Act 3 boss fights. Piety is a bit more aggressive in Act 3. Dominus really forces you to get into melee range, which of course as a summoner we're not overly comfortable with. But the Vaal Oversoul is a rather manageable boss. And I suspect especially with the summon raging spirits that we are summoning around, we should be doing rather fine here. I did have a quick look at our gear. I made sure we now have the highest tier of flasks as well. I just made sure they all have 2 modifiers. We have curse removal and we got freeze and chill removal. Those are useful things. For the rest, the modifiers are rather rubbish. For some reason the game really thought I needed more bonuses to evasion. We got a 100% increased evasion rating on a character that barely uses any evasion. Yay, game. Of course, the modifiers you would like to see on flasks are bleed removal, burning removal. Shock removal is useful later on, but while leveling doesn't really matter all that much. There's not a lot of guaranteed sources of shock that matter. Bleeding is of course something that you want, let me rephrase that, something that you need to have for Dominus. Technically you could probably get away with it, but it's gotta make things rather dicey. We're not facing Dominus just yet, so I'm happy with the modifiers we got. I do like to have freeze removal on one of my Quicksilver flasks because it's tied to movement. That way you'll always, well, if you want to move out, you can do so quickly. And curse removal on my mana flask is something I've gotten very used to as well. We are at a breach, so let's refresh our zombies. Okay, then we top up our other summonables and we hit the breach, and then we start summoning again like mad. Ooh, double clasped hands. Ah, that means there's probably gonna be crazy stuff. Yeah, because they are doing damage. They are doing a lot of damage. Let's just get some more skellies on the floor here. Oh, a breach ring dropped. Those have double modifiers while inside of a breach. Very exciting. Ooh. Let's get some distance here. Let's hide the items. Clasped hand. No! Well, we did open up 2 clasped hands. And we got ourselves another splinter. And we got our very first breach ring. Properties are doubled while in a breach. So the 2 to 5 physical damage is gonna get doubled. The strength bonus, the life bonus, the mana bonus is gonna get all doubled while inside of a breach. That does make this already better than our current one. A cautionary thing that is useful to keep in mind. The plus 15 to strength is also going to be doubled while inside of a breach. If inside of a breach you level up and you think it will be a good idea to spend your skill points or to level up gems while in a breach, it might be that once the breach closes, the double bonus will stop applying and you no longer have enough strength to equip your gems. Cautionary tale. might be useful to keep in mind. That said, I think we have enough here, so move on. That was a nice breach, a very first breach ring with good modifiers, which is not hard given the fact that we were using a blue ring before this. So inside of the next breach we will get about another 30 extra life, which will help us survive. Fated Coagulate is part of a prophecy.
Life flows through the blood. Let's slit the blood, and the life will continue in a new form.
Risen blood, kill something, and its blood will reform into a coagulated blood. Let's resummon our zombies here, and time to move on. So far we're doing good. We've actually found a breach, so we can check that off of the list for the checklist for this episode. And we got ourselves a breach ring, which is something that was still on the things of the list of things we had to find at some point. So that's good. We can die now, right? Having checked off everything? No, not quite. There is yet more to explore. A fork in the road, one of them will lead to the unique drop bear, the other one will not. I think this is the area with the drop bear. It's a slightly larger area. That's, from what I remember, will have the drop bear. Yes, hello, cool. Cool. I have no idea how to pronounce the name of a drop bear with apostrophes in it. Because apostrophe pronunciation is hard. Let's see. Summon Skeletons is now at a level bound limit. We are level 24, it needs 25, and this is area level 22, so we are still over leveled for the area, which is good. Ooh, very first Chaos Orb. Chaos Orbs, of course, in Solo Self-Found are not useful for trading, because there is no trading. So it means we will actually be using those Chaos Orbs for their intended purpose, and that is re-rolling rares. It will probably get even more hilarious once we start finding some exalted orbs, because we're not going to use the exalts to trade, we're going to use them to improve crappy rares into slightly less crappy rares. Oh, I think, yeah, I probably just have to do any usage of exalted orbs on stream. Even if it's just to have something to collect tears or something, because some people will cry, I suspect, about just the wealth destruction that will happen by actually using orbs, exalted orbs on items that are not god tier. So, yeah, minions, minion life and regeneration. This is our current goal. Bonus to Spectres doesn't really apply until we actually have Spectres, but all the other bonuses are useful to get anyway. Ooh, and a Scholar's Robe. We found ourselves an upgraded version of our body armor, which we are just gonna upgrade in place. Some skeletons, added minion damage, raging spirits. Means we need to bind that over here, and this is a white one, so we can actually just use some armor scraps. Yes, armor scraps in order to upgrade them, and get ourselves a bit more energy shields. And then at this point, it's not a 4-link. I'm not gonna use any orbs of any alks until we actually have 4 links. So I don't think up until that point things are worth it, but we might chance it. Alternatively, no, orb of transmutation and alteration until we get some decent modifiers is also a decent way to deal with it. Once we get a decent blue one with 2 decent modifiers, that also works. Once you take the option of trading off of the table, there are a lot of interesting options that are back on the table. And alt spamming a blue armor while leveling is something that normally you wouldn't consider, because it's no for a single chaos you can get yourself a very nice body armor that will have life and multiple resists, and maybe even an offensive stat that is relevant. Playing solo self-found, you don't have that, and it does emphasize a whole different side of the game, which I do enjoy. So I might alternate between doing like a hardcore league, solo self-found hardcore league or something, and doing like a standard trade all the things league. Just to alternate between things, experiment with different builds, or maybe just doing solo self-found every once in a while and just keeping hardcore as a default. Anyway, just to experience the different sides of the game, because trading is an important part of the game. It's a part that heavily underexposed is probably the kindest way of phrasing this. It's a underexposed part of the game. In game there's not a lot of signs that point you in the right direction. Also, speaking of signs, we have to head into this direction to help Tora. No, but in game, just for example, I saw a Reddit post from a newer player that was actually asking for the devs to update the description of the premium stash tabs, so that it would actually show that they are more or less a required part of the game if you want to participate in trading. Because currently the premium stash tab description does not say that. All it says is that, yay, you can now change the name and color of your stash tab, and that's it. Nothing else is gonna happen with your stash tabs. So unless you value fancy colors and custom names for your stash tabs, there is no point in getting them. That's a very sarcastic take on it, of course. But if there are way more side effects to getting the public stash tabs, which allow you to list items for sale, which will get scraped by third-party websites such as PoE.trade, and from what I understand, PoE.ninja. Haven't used it, but I have heard other streamers talk about it. Then that is where you can sell your things. If however, in-game, that is never actually explained, then a lot of newer players will not actually do anything with that. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But no, the devs have stated on multiple occasions that they balance things for trade, and that makes sense. I mean, if you can't trade, that means individual item drops for you as a player don't matter. It matters what the entire community will get, and thus the most efficient farmers in the community, how much of a certain item or currency or whatever they can gather in a certain time frame. And I'm pretty convinced that we are completely missing out. Oh, seriously, Tora wants us to go back there. Okay, in this case, Tora, I like you, I'd like to help you, but if you're sending me back into the early part of the caverns, then you can just step into that fire and burn yourself. Or you can just do it yourself. That's maybe a slightly nicer way of phrasing it, but the thought is still there. Okay, there is another bridge hand up close, so we will be clearing things and then we're gonna kill bridges. It's also interesting that the bridge mechanics in the game, they're never really truly explained, are they? All you see is a hand, and then stuff will assault you from the shadows. And though an observant player might or might not spot that the breach stays open for longer or shorter, depending on how many things you kill. I think I got cursed, but we can now remove our curses. Yay for that. Minions, however, don't have that luxury. But a lot of the mechanics, they are never explained in text. You just have to experience them and hopefully not die to them. We'll just take a bit of opportunity to clear some of the more obvious things in the area, because otherwise the minion AI is gonna go up and down the staircases and just get distracted, and that's really not helpful. And as we experience some of the breaches, they might get rather nasty. So if we do at least a little bit of work to prepare for it, then we will be better off for it. So refresh our zombies. Let's see, skeletons, 3, 4, 6, 7. Warm up a little bit with the skulls, they expire very quickly. So we'll just do it again, okay. And there's a lot of enemies. Whoa, big tornadoes. Not entirely sure what they do, but they're gonna hurt. That's the one thing I am definitely certain of. Yeah, because they got one of those general things in the area. Okay. So what I understand, breach minions, they might still do damage from the shadows. So even if you are outside of the breach and the breach is contracting, stay vigilant, because you might get killed by the unseen. And once the breach is entirely closed, I think you should be safe, but it definitely pays off to be aware. So we got swamped. We managed to extract ourselves a skill like Flame Dash or a Lightning Warp, or maybe even a Leap Slam if you're using a melee weapon. They definitely help you. Just extracting yourself from hairy breach-induced situations. I have a strong suspicion that once we have our Beacon of Destruction, and we will be spreading poison clouds all over the place, and things are gonna get a lot better. Specifically, I think once we got our minion instability, which is only 2 skill points away, then if the breach mobs kill our zombies, they will face an explosion that will backfire. So that's gonna be even more useful. I think we'll probably end up rushing to minion instability now. Just because for breaches it seems like a mechanic that is gonna be very useful at dealing with getting overwhelmed, and overwhelmed is a natural state in a number of breaches, especially once those breach lieutenants show up. I got a very strong suspicion that the fire tornado things that spawned, that they are just a special ability by the lieutenant. And of course, this being hardcore, we are valuing safety and staying alive over killing more mobs. So I do stand by that extracting from the situation was probably the best call. Staying in the middle, casting lots of raging spirits, doing lots of damage. It might have helped us turn the tide, it might have, but it would have been at a great personal risk. Okay. Here we're gonna get into trouble in order to kill this totem, and then we can deal with the other ones. But yeah, breaches are to be respected. I'm wondering later on how the power level of breaches is going to compare with, say, the horrendous chest spawns. Because those were also got pretty hairy, especially once you got some interesting rare mob modifiers combined with them just infinitely respawning seemingly until suddenly they stop doing that. Okay, so as I mentioned, we could... Oh, wait, actually we do want the regen. And once we got the regen, we're gonna go back to the minion ability. But for now, just the quality of life, just seeing those nice little health bars just tick up. Glorious. But next up is gonna be minion ability, and then we're gonna finish up the skill wheels we started on. And this change in focus is entirely inspired by the bridge mechanic itself. Let's see, level 23, we have just hit 26. We are 3 levels over the area. The Vaal Oversoul, being unique, is going to be 2 levels above the area. So we are going to be 1 level above the boss. Which is okay. That means we are slowly getting back on the curve, and that's one of the things, of course, of being overleveled. At some point you'll not gain as much XP anymore, and you will naturally gravitate back towards the area level. But for now, the moment is there. Can we defeat the Vaal Oversoul? Or will this be the end of our journey? Luckily I don't do cliffhangers all that often, so we will actually find out right now. And all our minions are back at full health. It is glorious. Oh, some raging spirits here. Whoosh. I will just have to keep summoning some skeletons every once in a while in order to keep their numbers up and keep their refresh timer up. We're gonna try to stay relatively close to the Oversoul. That way our raging spirits have to travel the least amount of time. And safety will be in numbers for us. Oh, I meant to teleport out of there. Didn't really happen, but well, things ended up in a favorable situation as well. So, Vaal Oversoul's gone, but we're a little flooded on items, so I think we're actually just gonna empty our pockets quickly. Just chuck everything into the stash here. No, we'll just sort that later. And then we can enjoy opening up the portal. And no, this door is always slow to open, so might as well make a quick town stop. Otherwise you're standing here 10-20 seconds waiting for that door to open. But our minions are looking pretty good, and probably by the time we get to the unique fight over here, freeing Clarissa. Words, they're difficult sometimes. Then they'll all be in tip-top shape. Ooh, a strong box. We don't have any currency on us, so we're just gonna hit it as it is. Now that we are having a little bit of currency on us, we might as well just get back into the habit that I had in Standard League of just always carrying around a little bit of currency, so you can at least turn these into a blue and get a little bit more out of it. For the regular strong boxes, not as relevant, but for the more exotic ones, like the artisan ones, gem cutter strong boxes, especially the gem cutters. Because we don't have access to all the gems, gem cutter strong boxes are going to be a decent opportunity to get more gems. Divination strong boxes, of course, I probably want to see those as rares. But for that, currency is going to be useful to roll them into something better. And there is another hand over there, which is convenient. But first we deal with the troubles we know before we deal with the troubles we can't yet see. Okay, taking some damage here, just porting out and just summoning a couple of skeletons around us. It's not strictly required here, but it does pay off to establish some decent habits. And that is extract from danger. Use your energy shield as a meter for how defensive you should be. Full energy shield means you can be aggressive the moment your energy shield is not full. It's basically a timer that will tell you to get the heck out. And the lower it goes, the stronger the need to get out. So, doing our usual thing of just clearing the surroundings. And then, let's see, our minions are in a decent shape. We are topped up on skeletons, just recasting all of them. They got 20 seconds now. And then we go in. Okay, I see a lightning spider. I don't like it here. I really don't like it here. Ooh, plasma hand. Okay. Temporary minions for the win. Some skulls. And as I say, oh, we keep extracting and the unseen can no longer hurt us. Doing these breaches, it already feels like an interesting dance with death. We're not... I still feel the risk is worth the reward. And at this point I still feel in control of the situation. So the balance here, it feels just right. That said, the further we get, the nastier things get. There might be some nastier surprises down the road that will be harder to deal with. But once we start channeling our skeletons and our spirits, once we get minion instability, I think on our side we will definitely have a power increase versus breaches. And at that point, I'm very curious to see what the impact is going to be. But for now, we have arrived in Sarn. So I'm going to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time when we venture forth into Act 3, when we go into the crematorium to see what happened with poor Tolman. Bye bye.